Hey everybody, welcome back to the Landlord Lunch, and today we are going to be diving into turnover management. And so turnover management is the process of getting your unit ready, rent ready again, getting the repairs done, managing that process of getting your home back on the market, or hopefully if it's pre-leased, getting it ready to move into, returning it to the condition that you want it to be in to get somebody moved in there. So here we go. Here is the turnover management process. Again, not an overly complicated process in and of itself, and we actually have some checklists as well that will kind of help with this management of some of this. So this process really starts when it is vacant, when we have possession of it, and we kind of take that and it's put on the turnover board. Now you may or may not use a turnover board. If you have multiple units or if you have apartments, something like that is more likely. And if you want to use the turnover board, you can. I have a sample we'll go over, and there's one in the forms vault in the resource section as well, and you'll kind of see its usefulness. But for just a single family home, it may not be as necessary as managing multiple units, but that's the kind of start of it. It's the point where we take it and we know we need to start scheduling everything that needs to happen to get that thing rent ready. If we're lucky, it'll be rent ready, but 9 times out of 10, it probably will not, and we're gonna have to be doing something with it. So the first thing we're gonna do is, of course, change the locks, change the deadbolts, switch those out. One of the things I like to do, and maybe we touch on it here, we'll get to it here in a little bit. Next is the turnover inspection, and that's really determining everything that has to happen in a unit to get that back up to a standard on the maintenance side of things. There's the trash out, getting all the trash, the furniture, anything that was left behind, removed from the property, maybe, overgrown bushes, trees, debris, things along those lines could be included in that as well. Then you actually complete the maintenance based off your turnover inspection. You should have a pretty good list of everything that needs to be done, whether you do it yourself or contract it out. That's up to you. But then there's the paint, there's the cleaning, there's the carpet cleaning. Carpet cleaning is usually last, even after cleaning. With the exception of maybe flooring replacement, you may need to replace some flooring, and then that kind of fits in there usually before cleaning, actually. And that may or may not need to happen, which is kind of why I plugged that in there last. But that's generally speaking the turnover management process, the turnover management cycle, and most of the items that we need to address in order to get that thing ready and back on the market again, or somebody moved into. Okay, so here's a copy of the turnover board. This is just an Excel spreadsheet. Again, it's attached in here. In the apartment buildings, you always see these big boards on the wall, and I think they're even getting away from the boards these days with technology, because a lot of this stuff is digital as well. But this is real simple. I mean, it's the date it came on, the address of the unit, how many bedrooms, baths, square feet, what we're going to charge for rent. Are the utilities on or off? Have the keys been changed? So the lock's been changed. So utilities on or off, keys or locks replaced, yes or no. Trash removed, yes or no. Has it been painted? Yes or no. Actually, yes or X. You can put an X in there when it's done. Has maintenance been completed? X. Flooring? X. Cleaning? X. So just basically as these things get completed, you mark them off so you know where you're at with the cycle, and it just kind of keeps you on pace. It's almost like a real simple project management tool, really. And then your final inspection, and you can move on. You can see where this would be useful if you have 20, 30, 40 vacants and you're trying to manage that whole process. Not that it's not useful for a single one. I would probably still use it for a single one. I do in my own head anyway. So I mean, if this helps you, then by all means do it. There's a copy of it in there. But if not, this is the process. And again, it's kind of like the checklist is really what it is. Like the move out checklist, the move in checklist, the screening checklist, this is the turnover checklist. It takes the process and turns it into a list of action items is what that's really doing. Okay, so changing the locks. First and foremost is a safety issue. You do not want old tenants or other people having keys to a home that they do not live in, do not have possession of. It's not right, it's not fair, it's not safe for the tenants that are going to be occupying it. So one thing to do is make sure that it's one key for all the deadbolts. Now, when you buy deadbolts, especially like Quickset, and I'm pretty sure Schlage or whatever else does too, but a lot of times they come with the 4-digit codes on the back or whatever they're doing now, and you can just go through their inventory and find 2 or 3 or 4 with the same digit code, and that key will fit them all. So that's one way you can do it. Another thing I do not do is I do not use passage knobs or privacy knobs, which are the ones that lock. On those exterior ones, because if you do that, then you're almost guaranteeing that you're going to get a after hours emergency lockout call. If you just have passage knobs on all your exterior doors with no locking door handles, it's impossible for them to lock themselves out unless they lose their key or something. But a lot of with a deadbolt though, you have to have your key to lock it up, and it avoids lockouts, because yes, you can lose your key and still get locked out, but what they're not doing is walking outside to take the trash out and then accidentally locking themselves out of the house because the passage was locked, I guess is what I'm saying. One of the things I like to do though is have a couple different sets of matching locks, and then usually if you rotate every rotate between 2 or 3 times, it's not that big of a deal. By the time 2, 3, 4 years later come down the road, that original tenant's they're not thinking their key is going to work. It's not even a thought in their mind. So, or you can swap them if you have multiple houses. You can swap them back and forth between houses, things along those lines. So that's one way if you want to save some money. You can also do like the deadbolt with the smart keys, to where you go in and pop the cylinder out and swap them out, or rekey them or whatever else. And then I also like to use lock boxes as well. So if I know I'm going to have vendors in there, carpet cleaners, painters, things along those lines, I'll slap a lock box on there, and then that way I don't have to meet them at the property. It's vacant anyway. I could give them the code and they can go in and out of there. So I change the locks. I put the new keys in the lock box for vendors, and then I schedule that up, and when they're ready to go, they can go and they can gain entry without me having to meet them there to let them in. Okay, so the next kind of step in our process here is the actual turnover inspection. I like to use a make-ready checklist. It's a comprehensive checklist. It's very detailed, very thorough, and really what this does is going to allow you to determine everything that needs to happen in the course of the maintenance, or at least give you a good snapshot of everything that could happen. Doesn't mean you actually have to do it. You may see something that is not satisfactory or may be fixed, but it may not be important or may not be an issue, and you leave it. That's okay too, but at least you're aware of it, and this walks you through the whole process to where you're not forgetting anything. This can also be used to like give a scope of work. So if you're gonna have a handyman do the work and you're like, okay, I want you to do everything that's marked fixed on here or replace, this is your scope of work, and then they just go down the line and say, okay, let's just pull one over here real quick so we can see it better. So they can go down here and say doorbell needs replaced, check. Weather strip front door replaced, check. And so this becomes a scope of work for them that they can go through. But let's just kind of go through this. We have the unit address, we have the date that the make ready was started, the beds, baths, the date that all the repairs are completed, who did the repairs. This says service technician. You put contractor here or whatever, and then if you're going to inspect it or if somebody wants to inspect it afterwards or inspected by here, you don't even have to use those if you don't want to. Again, take these, use these, turn these into something that works for you in your particular operation. But again, just the different sections here: the front door, foyer, patio, balcony, dining room, living room. And if you see something you need to add that isn't on here, add it. If you need something removed, remove it. This is yours. Do with it, change it as you need to. But again, it's just a thorough checklist of about everything I could think of. Doesn't mean everything's on there. I could easily have missed something. There's a lot of items on here. But just going through and checking through. By the time I'm done with this, it doesn't take near as long either, because these are separated. If you notice here, it's almost like going into most homes: front room, patio, balcony, into your living room, into your dining room, any mechanical equipment, garages, kitchen, water heater sometimes in there, washing dryers usually around there as well. Then you get into your bedroom 1, 2, 3, 4. Actually, there's 2 bedroom three here, typo. Bathroom 1, bathroom 2, and any additionals. And if there's a third bathroom, fine. Just, hit it again, flip it on the back side, record it there. But the point being, it is a thorough, comprehensive list that you can go through. And I split it by room. That way, if you do want to use it as a scope of work, then you can take this and they'll know in bathroom 1, you need this, and this done. In bathroom 2, it's this, and this done. So again, very, very handy checklist, especially for people like me that aren't as handy. I know if something's not working. I know if something's busted. I know if a screen's not. It doesn't mean I necessarily know how to fix it, but I can tell if something's not working on it, or if something's not right with it, or something needs replaced, or something needs repaired. And it gives a good checklist to bring the person that does know what they're doing in to take a look at that and, do that for me. Again, it creates that scope of work without me having to think about what do I need to include on this, or think about, am I missing something? And if I see something that I'm like, oh, that's not on my list, well, guess what? I will just edit my list, and that way, as I move forward, that list will be correct from that day forward. Okay, painting checklist, same thing. So I use this as a scope of work, and let's pull this one over as well. And it's basically everything that needs to happen during the course of painting a home or an apartment for the most part. I'm sure that there's certain things here that can be expounded upon. But again, in the kitchen, I may not want the kitchen painted, so maybe I X out the kitchen here and all I want's the living room painted. And so I can highlight this and put on here, this is the only room I want painted, X out everything else. This is just scope of work. And then when you're done, I'm gonna come back and I'm gonna look at that. I'm like, okay, did they remove the wall, place and light globes before they painted? No, they got paint all over it. Okay, you're gonna have to, that was on your scope of work, so you need to clean that up. Did they paint the ceiling? Yep. Did they paint the walls? Yep, looks good. Doors? Yep. Did they paint the closets? Whatever. Yeah, everything looks good. Is there any overspray? Nope. Wall plates, light globes are all good. Yep. Okay, thank you very much. How much are you gonna charge me? Or here's your invoice, this is inspected, it's good, move on. So again, you can create your scope of work, which is kind of the point on this, and then it also outlines the expectations. If there's other stuff on here that you want as an expectation, you may, I don't even know if it's on here, but maybe you want all the grills, like the air return vents, removed, cleaned, and painted, and then on every paint job. Maybe that's what you want to do, that's fine. Put it on here. Whatever that is. But again, it's just a checklist that allows you to define the scope of work that you want, that you can hand off to a contractor. Or if you want to do this yourself, you can just use it as a checklist just to make sure you caught everything. A lot of this is repeating, but ceilings, doors, walls, pantry shelves. Oh heck, I forgot the closet, towel, the closet bar, the dowel bar, whatever that may be. Again, it's to remind you of the things that you want to take care of in the course of this, or use it as a scope of work and an inspection list for when that work's complete from the vendor. Okay, cleaning. Hey, guess what? We have a checklist for cleaning. Same thing. It's the same exact thing. I may not want the whole place clean. Maybe I want a full clean on here. Again, I can use this to define my scope of work. Or if I'm going to clean, I will just go down the checklist and I'll clean. Chances are, I'm not a professional cleaner, but the chances are if I go through and I do all these items, even if they're not as good as a professional cleaning company will do, chances are the place is pretty much going to be clean enough for somebody to move into, and they're not going to be able to tell the difference. Will it be as good? Probably not. I don't do that every day. I'm not the expert. It probably won't be as quick. It probably won't be as thorough. But will it be plenty good enough for somebody to move into and know that they're in a clean home? Yeah, Absolutely. Again, it's just really the difference between me and a cleaning company outside of the thoroughness, and is just the experience and the amount of time they do it, and they know what to look for. Could there be a couple things missed? Yeah. Maybe somebody points something out that's not on here, like, oh, these, it may be even on here. The blind slats are covered with dust. You're right, I didn't get those. Let me get that on the list. I'm gonna take care of that for you. I'm gonna pop that on my list. That way I don't forget next time. So again, it's just a way to improve our processes and make sure that we're consistently doing things in the same manner every single time. It's a checklist. It's the way it works. That's what they're here for. And then if you use this as a scope of work, you give it to your contractor, they know what's expected out of them exactly, and then you come through and you check to make sure, inspect it. Yep, you got all these things, got all these things. And then if you find something, clean windows and blinds, there that is. But let's say that you find something and you're like, oh, all these ceiling fans, I've dusted all of them, they're filthy. Sorry, that wasn't on your scope of work. We didn't know you wanted that. You know what? You're right. It wasn't on my scope of work. Would you mind taking care of it for me and charging me extra? And guess what? You're putting it on your scope of work from here on out because you want those cleaned. So once again, you're improving your process. There's a clearer communication between you and the vendor. It gives you a way to determine your scope of work. And it also gives you an easy way to come back in and make sure that you have a good inspection, that everything that you want done is actually complete. You're not forgetting anything. Gotta love checklists. And that is really it. The turnover process, like I said, this is absolutely a shorter session, shorter module. But again, it's not a very complicated process. For us, it's really about determining what is wrong, what we want to do, what we want to contract out, what we want to do ourselves, and then getting that executed and getting that turn completed and getting it ready for the move-in, whether it's already rented or whether you're looking to have it just ready to show and market and that type of stuff. That's what this is all about. So couple final thoughts on this. Again, make sure, like on these things, when you're contracting stuff out, inspect the work before you pay. Don't pay blindly. Even the people that's done work for you before, it doesn't mean you have to be there with them or whatever else. Stop by after the fact, take a look at their work, go down their checklist. If there's a problem, call them. Hey, listen, these 4 or 5 items are missed. Would you mind coming back over and taking care of it? And then, send me your invoice and I'll get you taken care of. Not a problem. Everything else looks good. They won't have an issue with it. Things happen. It's not a big deal. Stay away from any type of deals with the tenants. Don't do hey, we'll clean for half off our deposit, or don't worry about, we just need to move in, don't worry about cleaning, we'll take care of it. No, I'm gonna clean because I want my move-in pictures to be good, and I want to establish a before condition before you move in, because if you don't clean, that means grime is going to be on grime. You're going to tell everybody I didn't clean if anything goes wrong, and it's just not going to, stay away from deals with tenant. It's just not going to work out for you. Same with the as-is deals. Just no, I'm going to make sure this is ready. I don't want you doing any cleaning. I don't want you doing any painting. I don't want you doing any maintenance. When you move into here, it'll be ready. And then, of course, as you do this, use yourself as a handyman. Get paid for your time, and that way you can establish yourself as a handyman. And then later on, if you have to charge a security deposit or whatever else, then, at the very least, you have invoices and stuff like that you can fall back on. Okay, so again, one of the shorter sessions, sitting about 20 minutes now, but that's okay. Recap real quick, we went over the move out process, and this was the last session here, and we covered the security deposit settlements, we covered abandonment, and then as we got into this session here, we kind of wrapped up with the turnover process, which was getting everything ready for this unit to get back on the market and start the property management cycle over again, which is property marketing and leasing and all that fun stuff. Again, a lot of checklists in this one, but that's there. I mean, we've gone over the reasons over and over and over again. Checklists are there to help you be more efficient and help you communicate better, and especially the turnover process, I think they are extremely important. So make sure to use those. Download them, use them, make them your own, adjust them, change them, make them better. Make them better. A lot of resources in this section. Of course, this is over not just this session, but the move out process and the turnover process. I know the two sessions, but kind of all in the same section. So all those forms we talked about: the notice to vacate, the move out, the vacating resident packet, the move in move out inspection template, settlements, deposit dispute letters, and then we get into kind of the turnover side of things. So we got that turnover board if you want to mess around with that, which is basically like the new move in and new move out checklist, the screening checklist. We have the make ready and the painting and cleaning checklist to make sure that we capture everything we need to capture during a turnover process. And then, of course, the landlord tenant law links and the link to the deposit return resources as well, to give you some idea on how long you have to get deposits back based on your state. Like I said before, make sure you check on that and an attorney. Most of those states I've never worked in. Everything I've seen out of that seems like it's pretty spot on. I haven't actually found any errors on any of the stuff that I'm recommending to you, but always double check. I do not want you to get in trouble just because you took my word for it. I want you to check if there's any red flags. I want you to dig into it more. Double check everything. Forms, have legally reviewed, all of that stuff, because I do not want to put you in a bad spot by any means. And that's it. That is our turnover process section as we wrap up this kind of area of the landlord launch program. We are at the end of our management cycle now. We've taken you from the fair housing and all the foundational stuff and the legal stuff we want to watch out for, and we've gone through the property marketing and the leasing and the screening and the move-in and the rent collections and the evictions and the maintenance management, the retention, and now the move-out process and the turnover process. And we have come full circle back to the beginning, to the marketing process, and that is the property management cycle. So we are going to end the core of the program with the turnover section here. And again, we're going to get into some bookkeeping. There's going to be some additional stuff, but that is it for the core of the program. Again, a lot of good information. This is your landlord A to Z setup here. So I hope that this has gotten you where you needed to go. I hope you've learned a lot of things in here. I can't imagine that you haven't. Make sure to join us. Continue to join us for our weekly Q&As. Even if you're done with the course, continue to join us for the Q&As. Join us over in the members community. Contribute. Give us your experiences. Give us your feedback. Give us your, let us know give us your wins. Let us know what kind of challenges you're working with. Make sure to participate. There's a lot of smart people over there. A lot to learn there. And again, this is a continual learning journey. I mean, this never ends. I've been doing this since 2001, and every week I run into something new that I've never heard of. I'm just like, really? I never would have thought of that. It's just amazing. It just, the variances and the situations, they just never end. And again, keep a lookout, depending on when you're watching this. A lot of us may already be here, but we're going to start adding a lot of resources on the landlord launch side, the course side as well, for bookkeeping type things. Now, this is a little more complicated because some people don't want anything to do with bookkeeping, which is why I didn't want to put it in the core program. But when we talk about bookkeeping, we're talking about actually doing transactional processes and me showing you how to do those within specific accounting softwares. Yeah, there's some general bookkeeping stuff we can do, and I'll cover some of those. But really, for example, the first one that should be out is going to be over QuickBooks. QuickBooks may be a little tougher for you to use if you've never used QuickBooks and you've never been a bookkeeper and you're not familiar with some of those terms. But if you've used QuickBooks, you're familiar with accounting software, and you've been curious about QuickBooks, it's going to be a great thing for you to watch. If you're newer to bookkeeping, you need something a little more basic, a little more simple, maybe one of the other programs that we get into will be more helpful, and I'll try to outline those as we go. But I'm just saying that just because this is over, the core program's over, doesn't mean there's not a lot left to go. This program will continue to grow as updates happen. I'll jump back in and update the particular course sessions, with the new information, with the new resources, with the new expanded knowledge. So that's what I have. Thank you so much. Really appreciate all the time you have invested in yourself and spent and trusted in me to go through this core program of the Landlord launch, the Landlord training program. I look forward to continue to work with you as we grow as a community, as an organization. But again, keep asking questions, keep participating, keep up on the new on-demand videos and new workshops and the live Q&As and all that stuff that we continue to release in our effort to support you as a landlord. So that's it. We'll let you go. Thank you once again, and we will see you on the inside.